One of the things that I just hold personally, like for myself, is like just accountability. Like it's really important for me as a person, right? And I think that is reflected in the organization too, is just really making sure that we always like keep pulse on what we're doing.
Hello, I'm Eric Anderson. The voice you just heard belongs to Kristen Thoms. Kristen, along with Julia McCormick, are the featured guests in Season 6, Episode 3 of YXC Underground. There is an organization in Saskatoon that works to strengthen the economic and social conditions of our city's core neighborhoods. It's called Quint Development Corporation, and it's an organization full of amazing leaders like Kristen Thoms and Julia McCormick. They will take us for a walk through the core neighborhoods to share the impact Quint is having on the people who call the core neighborhoods home in this episode of YXC Underground. Welcome to Quint Development Corporation. I'm standing just outside Quint headquarters in the Station 20 West building here on 20th Street and Avenue L South. It's a brisk, sunny Friday morning, and I'm about to go for a walk with Kristen Thoms and Julia McCormick. Kristen is Quint's executive director and has been with the organization for 18 years. Julia is the director of operations with Quint and has called it home for 11 years. Together, they oversee a team that is helping people in the core neighborhoods find meaningful employment, move into safe and affordable housing, and spark a sense of pride in their neighborhoods. How are they doing this, you ask? I found out when Kristen and Julia took me for a walk through neighborhoods like Riversdale and Pleasant Hill, where they showed me the different ways Quint is helping people. We ended our walk in Optimist Park, where you will hear the pride Kristen and Julia have in their work and why it means so much to them. They are both kind and warm people who love helping others and are truly invested in helping people who call the core neighborhoods home improve their lives in meaningful ways. I learned so much in this conversation, and I know you will too. Let's begin with Kristen, Julia, and I walking south on Avenue H, and Kristen introducing me to the concept of a social enterprise.
Do you know about a social enterprise?
No, I don't.
Can I put you on the spot and say, define what a social enterprise is?
Oh my gosh, okay. Oh, it's not often that guests ask me the questions. Okay. So how would I define a social enterprise?
You don't need to do that. Would you like to know what a social
I would love to,
That's
Kristen.
a better question.
Okay. Well, you understand, like, it's a business model, essentially. So, like, with any business, when you think about it, what is their bottom line? It's generally economic, right? They're looking to create like profit, revenue for the company, for the owners, or the shareholders or up above. So social enterprise is just think of it as like a different business model, but instead of just having an economic bottom line, so for sure it is revenue generating. There's also potentially a social one, and also like an environmental one, could be cultural one. Like there are other goals to that business model. And so for us, for our social enterprise, it really is their work integration social enterprises. So we have our kind of social goal or our social value that we're looking for is the supporting people who may have complex barriers to employment to become employed and essentially like contribute to their local economies. So with that, we have Build Up Saskatoon, and so that is a construction social enterprise, and we do commercial and residential construction in the city here. So anything that you think of, like building a fence, we've renovated office space, flooring, you name it. For the most part, we've done it. And with Build Up Saskatoon, that's been around since 2018. And our goal is to support people who have just come out or has recently come out of federal and provincial corrections. And we employ these individuals directly and provide wraparound support services within the program.
So what does that mean, Kristen, the wraparound? Because I think that's so important, because when people leave a correctional facility, you're right, they do need a lot of support. So when you say wraparound, what does that mean?
It basically means what Julie was talking about a while back when you asked her some of the barriers that folks who come to our Core Neighborhoods at Work program face. Yeah. It's very similar. Everybody's, situation is different, but often people are looking for housing, although some people are coming from the integration units, so the halfway houses of these correctional facilities. But they might be looking at family reunification, they might be looking at some health or medical support that they need, there might be some training support, there's basic needs being met, so there's a lot of those kind of connections that we do within the community to some of the great partnering organizations that we have, or internally through the support worker that we have on site with the crew.
Why did Quint want to create something like this in 2018?
Well, social enterprises are not new. I feel like they're not as known within Saskatchewan here, in Saskatoon specifically, but they're a unique model. They're a very innovative model to deal with complex issues that we're dealing with in the community. And I think the other piece that I kind of like about social enterprises, it's a little bit of a disruption of what people are traditionally doing. And so instead of having, like I said, a business model where the money made goes to people above, really it's a redistribution of wealth. The money that is generated goes back to the program, it goes into the pockets of the crew who's doing the work, the employee supports that we provide within the program, or potentially within the organization as well, like for housing and whatnot too. Yeah, so and then with Build Up, we try to amplify impact. So a lot of the work that we do, too, is within the community with other community organizations or within Quint, too. Like we do our sweet turnovers through our affordable housing program. So Build Up Saskatoon helps with that as well, too.
It's a busy program.
I would say so. And when we head to the shop, we might run into Aaron, the program manager, so might be able to pick his brain a little bit as well too.
Yes, that would be great.
And he also manages our other social enterprise, so that was just soft launched actually this week, and that is, it's called SWEEP. We love our acronyms at Quint, and the long word of it is Saskatoon Wellbeing Employment Enterprise Program. So again, let's just call it SWEEP. And that social enterprise is focused on community safety and well-being through CEPTED initiatives. So that's crime prevention through environmental design. And really what we do is we focus a lot of our activities on urban maintenance and upkeep and community revitalization projects. So that can look completely different. It's a very kind of wide range of activities, anything from graffiti removal, debris pickup. It can be some streetscaping, so sight lines, lighting. It could be light construction. So there's a lot of variables. Again, we just recently launched it, so it'll be interesting to see how it grows.
Yeah.
There's been noticeable needs in this community, and when I say community, within the core community, we do have real and perceived community safety and well-being within Saskatoon, right? And I think that a lot of neighborhoods are concerned about, what's happening on their streets and their parks and their neighborhoods. And this is just a way that's more collaborative, it's more community focused to deal with some community safety and well-being issues versus traditional methods of saying policing, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. And then the whole idea here is if you revitalize the space and you keep it upkept, I should say, upkeep, that the likelihood of it to be maintained is going to be increasing too, right? Yeah.
This might be a very obvious question, but for both of you, but how important is listening in your jobs, especially when you are dealing so much with the community? And I think this because I was having a conversation with a friend recently, and we were talking about how the idea of listening to understand is kind of a lost art these days sometimes. But like, how important is listening in your guys' jobs?
I'm gonna let Julia handle this one because she's the most empathetic and active listener, and I feel like at Quint.
You know, I think it's the foundation of it all, really. Like, I think that we talk a lot at Quint about like looking past the behavior to the person, right? And trying to understand, like, when we're up against challenges or people that are maybe presenting in a certain way, it's like, how can we really listen to understand where people are coming from and the challenges that they're facing, and not having our own perspectives or assumptions placed on what's going on for people. And I think, like, to really, I don't know how to say this, like, I think there's a lot of misconceptions about maybe the core communities that we serve or the people that we work with, or, you know, even this idea that maybe people don't want to work. And we see, when we listen to people, we really hear that people want to be a part of their communities. They want to be contributing. They want to be providing for their families. And there's just a lot of hurdles that are keeping that from happening. But if we create environments like our social enterprise, where people that have maybe never had steady employment or never had a job that had a legal income, when we give them that opportunity, when we listen to their needs and we create a work environment for them that is supportive and accepts them and goes with, you know, the ebbs and flows of their life, we have people that are stable. They are getting their children back into their care. They are contributing to society. They have the longest stretch of not being incarcerated in their adult life. And I think you can't do that without really listening and understanding what people need.
Yeah. Do you find, that was a lovely answer, by the way. Do you find too, like, when you really listen to someone, like when you're listening to someone and they're telling their story and sharing their challenges, do you find like after they've shared with you and you have heard their story, you've listened, Julia, like, do you find that there's a acknowledgement, like almost like a thank you or a gratitude?
Oh, I love that question. I have this real belief that people start to heal the moment they feel heard. And I think if you can just create space for someone to feel heard and understood and validated, their reality being validated, I think that that's a gift you can give to someone. And I think it's our responsibility doing this work and being in this community to make sure that people feel heard and that their realities are honored and acknowledged, and that we're working together. We really don't feel like we do things for people. We really work hard to be like, this is work together. It's acknowledging the hard work that people are doing already just to get through the door and show up.
You're listening to Season 6, Episode 3 of YXE Underground. My name is Eric Anderson, and our guests are Kristen Thoms and Julia McCormick from Quint Development Corporation. Listen to YXE Underground on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Good Pods, or wherever you find your favorite podcasts. And you can also find the podcast at yxeunderground.com. I first came across Quint a few years ago when I was doing research on safe and affordable housing here in Saskatoon. For decades, Quint has been helping people find an affordable place to call home, and it has adapted numerous times to an ever-changing housing market. After we visited the Build Up workshop, Kristen and Julia took me to Avenue J to see one of the apartment buildings it owns and operates. When you two look at this, because I'm assuming, lots of people might drive by and they might just see, okay, here's an apartment building. But when you two look at it, what do you see?
Oh, well, more than four walls and a roof. So I think like that's one of the principles that we've kind of based our whole affordable housing program on, is that housing is more than four walls and a roof. It's the community around it as well too. So when we started our rental development and we started to do rentals, we really wanted to make sure that we had a community lens to it as well too. And how do we create a sense of ownership in a rental space, right? So that looked different from all the buildings. It could be, we had collective kitchens, we had community gardens, tenant events, like just kind of creating that social connection to each and every one. And then you felt safe, you felt secure, you felt supported, you knew your neighbors. And it still happens, but we have gradually and sort of over, like I always say, you blink and you miss it. Sort of, we've come to a piece where it's eviction prevention, and we've always done an eviction prevention lens, but our eviction prevention now is really like a lot of system navigation and advocacy and support, and so once somebody moves in, how do we keep them housed successfully, and that comes with successes and a lot of challenges as well too, right?
Is it like when you advocate, who do you advocate to? Like how who are you saying like this to, like, you know, this person needs to stay, let's work together, but like who do you actually speak with?
Almost like 100% of the time, it's an income support worker.
Okay.
Yeah, so unfortunately, in Saskatchewan, we don't have the best social safety nets. Specifically, our income support program is very insufficiently structured and funded, and it really just affects the folks that are on it. So it's not providing anybody with an opportunity to really kind of create a stable foundation in order for them then to move wherever they want to do or grow to wherever they want to grow. And so oftentimes people are just struggling within the systems that are quite oppressive, and designed for people to fail, to be honest with you.
Is there hope that will improve?
I think there's always hope. Systems do need to change, and I think there needs to be the will of the whole communities, you know, like for people to see value, that we need strong social policies within our governments to support those who are most in need, and so we see it a lot in our apartments, right? Like we could have a tenant, like a good example is a tenant who we helped for, you know, 20 plus hours working through the system to get them stable back on their Saskatchewan income support program, and then, you know, a couple months later they may miss an email and then they're off of it, right? And the system is also kind of set up to be kind of black and white, right? It's either you're completely independent and you know, which is great for those who are great, or you're completely dependent. And so they've sort of taken out that middle piece where, so for example, like when I say completely dependent, oftentimes I say someone's struggling to pay their rent directly, but maybe can manage other aspects of their lives. They're like, oh, well, we're going to put you on trusteeship, right? Which is really a very dependent system versus having that sort of middle arena to play with, like say a rent, you know, the rent is paid to the landlord and your basic is, you can manage your basic and whatnot.
Well, and I just think like so much of our lives are kind of in that that gray area, isn't it? So that must be, is that frustrating? I think I know the answer to that.
I think it's easy for me to say it's frustrating, but I'm not the one with the lived experience, right? And I'm not the one that's precariously housed. So we do our housing coordinators work like a lot, and they work hard to try keeping people housed, and I can't stand here in front of you and say we don't evict. Like we do evict. We take a lot of things into consideration, primarily the safety of the building. So sometimes the needs of one, you know, don't overrule the needs of most, especially within some of the units that have a lot of children, like we have on our Avenue O property. It's a lot of families there, so we really have to kind of think about what are we balancing here. We do deal with a lot of folks that are dealing with rental arrears, but we do really good work in trying to create rental repayment plans. I think the struggle that we see the most as an organization is just the operation of affordable housing. The cost of repairs and maintenance and suite turnovers, recognizing that we have aging buildings like Quint. We purchased and renovated these 24 years ago, right? So there's a lot of operational costs involved, and we're trying to keep rents low, right? And our program, our revenue relies on the rents and a couple of grants. So it's really hard. It's a constant struggle. So that's a really good example of how we have to take a step back and say, like, what do we need to do different to make sure that we don't lose these units to market, right? And so one of the things that we did with actually one of our units is we went into partnership with the Salvation Army, and so and they are operating some transitional housing and some supportive housing through one of those units. So still, these units are in the community. People are being housed, and they're not lost to market, and with crazy rents, right?
Yeah. I just think that's so great that you are working with other organizations. That's been, I feel pride in our city when, like, through this podcast, interviewing different people from various organizations and hearing the stories of organizations working together with the common goal of helping people in, housing or food security, things like that. But it's like, that's important. I take it in terms of like reaching out to others and working together, kind of like you're pulling in the same direction.
Yeah, like we are one of many organizations, and there's so many great partner organizations doing good work, really frontline in the weeds work to support community. Like Quint is an organization, we don't work with the most acute and emergent, right? We don't offer like emergency housing, but we do work and we do house a lot of individuals with complex needs, and we need to work together as a community because we all have different strengths, if so to speak, within as agencies, right? And I think there's a lot of agencies that we kind of probably rely on because they just do things so well.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Thank you for taking me here.
Yeah.
This was really interesting, and thanks for explaining so much.
Yeah.
I appreciate it.
But we don't just operate units, like so apartment units. We do also have some transitional housing that I'm hoping Julia, she just left us.
Julia, come back.
I know, Paul knows about it.
Okay, sure. The work never ends.
No.
I'm like, come back, Julia. Maybe you can talk to Eric about our transitional homes. So
Yeah.
we also operate 2 transitional homes.
Yes, we've got 2 transitional homes, and so when we say transitional homes, really it's homes that have they're staffed 24 hours a day. They're there to support people who are in a place of instability, needing some support, with the ultimate goal is to transition out to independence. And so we serve 2 very different demographics in each of our homes. We have one where we support male identifying youth who are 16 to 21. And these are youth that are coming, the referrals come through social services, through like the 16-17 program, or there's some justice connections. And so these youth, they're facing challenges. If they've shown up at the youth lodge, there isn't another safe place for them to be, really. And so some of the ways that we support them are like maybe normal teenager stuff. So, how do you get out of bed in the morning and get to school? Like, how can we help you find a job? And some of it is a lot of it is a lot more complex than that. A lot of the youth are coming and they've had a situation at home or growing up where they don't have a safe place that's stable. They've experienced things like trauma. They're experiencing mental health addictions. And, we really just try to provide a safe home, a place for them to be able to just settle and relax and maybe be a bit of a youth while also working through some of those challenges that they faced. Yeah.
Gosh, that's so important too, because I think for a lot of people, when they think of homelessness in our city here in Saskatoon, we do think of adults, and we don't think of 16 and 17-year-olds, but it's happening, isn't it?
It is, and I think it's left out of the conversation far too often. One of the challenges we really see too is for youth that are transitioning out of our home. And so whether they're transitioning out because they've done the work and they have the supports to be stable and they're looking for their own housing, or because they're aging out of systems. Too many are aging out into homelessness, and there's not places for them to go. And it's a huge fight for our staff to work and try and find some place safe for an 18-year-old to go and live that they can afford, and to try and not take a step back from all the hard work they've done when they've been staying with us.
Right. Is that hard for, like, do you see it with your staff in terms of, like, are there hard days for them?
Oh, yeah.
100%. Like, I just really appreciate the staff in our transitional homes. it's very different to provide support in the environment of where somebody's living, right? You know, like when we talk about our core neighborhoods at work program, people are coming into our office space, we're supporting them there, and then they're leaving our space. Our staff at our transition homes are working within that youth's home, right? Like they're living there. And so I think there's a lot of like ebbs and flows to that. And I think it's interesting. It's like, I always think of it, it's like you have like the highest of highs and probably the lowest of lows, right? Like your night could be like just kind of hanging out with the youth, connecting with them, playing some video games, but then there can be some significant, sometimes it could be safety issue concerns, things that are happening in the house. And so we really try to figure out, like, with the manager of that program, what are the needs there? What can we constantly do to make changes and everything like that? So, yeah.
As managers, do you check in regularly, like with your teams? Like, is it just like little check-ins, like how's the day going? Or is it more formal, or what's that like as leaders with Quint?
Well, like, it really is dependent. So with the transitional homes, we do one manager manages both, and then she'll be in the houses, right? So she'll have time in the houses. She'll sometimes be at the office. So it's more than just like a, hey, how's it going, right? There's obviously formal ways, like there's like, you know, meeting staff one-on-one to staff meetings, but she's actually in the home as well too. And then, like I said, just dependent on the programs, we just walked away from build up, right? And the manager of build up, you can often find him on site checking in too. So really just hands-on and is the best approach, I would say. Yeah.
Where are we right now?
So we're in Optimist. We blindfolded you, no?
Can I just say though, it's been a while since I've walked this, like, down these streets and stuff. So thank you for this. And it's been a while since I've been where we are right now. Okay, so where are we right now?
So we are in Optimist Park. So if you peek over the roofs there, you can start seeing like the buildings that were behind Station 20 West where we first started. Yes. But Optimist Park is a place where we've held many events too. So one of the things that we do at Quint is we try to create opportunities for people to come together, maybe create opportunities for just like social inclusion, I think is the best way to do it, or be able to participate in things that maybe sometimes there's a cost associated with it, right? And then it can be limiting or can be a barrier for some folks. So like Optimist Park specifically, like we've hosted some theater in the park here before. We've hosted barbecues. We've hosted GTNT to do their Christmas plays at Station 20 West before, so free for the community to participate in. Years ago, so it's something that we haven't done in a long, long time, but we used to have not necessarily an Optimist Park, but a thing called Our Core Community Shine. And so that was like an annual event where really you're celebrating community, right? Because I think the whole idea sometimes is there's like a negative lens that's placed on the core, but really, in essence, there's a lot of strengths, there's a lot of resilience, there's a lot of good things that are happening within our community.
I love the word resiliency. Yeah. Thank you for saying that.
Yeah, and so I think like those events were to highlight that, and it brought, you know, agencies and community together. There was activities for kids. There was like entertainment in form of music. There was recognizing local, like, you know, heroes, quote unquote. And although that doesn't technically happen right now, it still exists. Those principles still exist, right? There is just a lot of strength and assets within the core neighborhoods of Saskatoon. And I think sometimes people don't necessarily see it, or they bypass it. Yeah.
But I think it's also important, like, to celebrate that and to do it in a way where it's like you do it in a public setting. I just think there's importance to that.
We actually made a music video doing that. I can't not mention our music video.
Please go on.
Doing just that, celebrating the core community. And so this was, was this 7 years ago, or a number of years ago, and it was it was basically a walking tour down 20th Street and celebrating the core communities, and we did it to "Can't Stop the Feeling" by Justin Timberlake.
Oh, yes.
And it's just honestly, like, I feel like it captures like that idea of like, how do we highlight like the beauty and the diversity and the resilience of this neighborhood up in 20th Street. So find us on YouTube.
There you go. But I think too, the fact that both of you and your organization is so involved with the core neighborhoods in so many different aspects. Like, I've just learned so much in the last 45 minutes we've been walking. And like, why not celebrate that? Like, why not come together? And I'm sure there's like different parts of the community that maybe didn't know like one another, but like it's cool. I just think it's great that you guys are able to facilitate that happening.
Yeah, no, that's we like what we do. We love, like Julia said, I've been here 18 years. I'm like, they can't get rid of me. Julia's been here for 11. Like, I love Quint, right? I love what Quint stands for. I love what we do, what we try to do in the community. I love the work environment that it has created for me as I, grew my family over these years. I've just felt so supportive. And I just think like it's just been a great place to work, but also like we stay humble too. Like we're, like there's always room for improvement. There's always, one of the things that I just hold personally, like for myself, is like just accountability. Like, it's really important for me as a person, right? And I just, and I think that is reflected in the organization too, is just really making sure that we always like keep pulse on what we're doing, evaluate, see where any missteps were made, and just continue to grow and learn and do better. And I think that's what we're continually trying to do, and just the opportunity in the positions that we have, we're able to make sure that happens. So that's pretty cool.
Why do you love your job so much, and why do you love Quint so much? Because 18 years is a long time.
I know. Hey, I think it's just it's what I said. Like, it's allowed me to have the best work-life balance as I personally have grown in my life and grown my family, and it is a place that it's been a safe space, I think, is the best way to describe it. It's a place where you can laugh. It's a place where you can cry. It's a place where you can like shoot the shit, but also like really like work and, not all hours, but you know what I mean? Like, really just kind of hammer down and work. It's a place where you can be just transparent and just honest, and with no judgment, right? And I think all those things that this organization has created, we really strive to create that within our programming too, right? Like, for this to be a safe space, like whether it's in a home that that we're operating, or whether it's in an office space that you're coming to get services, we just really hope that from the get-go that you're heard, that you feel safe, that you feel supportive, and that you can be your authentic self. Because I think that it's been afforded to me, definitely. Yeah.
Julia, can I ask you why you love working at Quint so much? Like, why are you so passionate about the work that you do?
Because she works with me.
Let me start with the most important thing.
I love how Kristen actually leaned in to our space to get that in.
Just in case you were going to say something else. I wanted to put it out there.
I was just going to say ditto, but really, she stole the words out of my mouth. But honestly, I feel like I've worked with Kristen. She's been my direct mentor, my leader for the past 11 years. And so I was going to get there and say that it largely has to do, but I think, we can't be out here advocating for work environments and spaces for our community to be safe and supported without doing that ourselves in Quint, and giving our staff that opportunity. And that has certainly been given to me. I echo everything Kristen says. Like, I feel people, myself included, I think they feel they can show up and be their whole selves at work. And when you're doing this work that can feel hard and can feel heavy, to be surrounded by people that are passionate about the same things as you, that believe in the work, that want the same change, and doing it together as a team. You're not alone. It really is just like a pretty incredible place. I feel like we see people develop professionally at Quint and grow and expand, and also personally, like, even myself, the person I am Quint was my first job out of university, and then I moved away and Kristen brought me back from Vancouver. Yeah, so I came back, and we see people leave and they come back, and we see people grow, and it's and for myself, like, I can't imagine a place else that would provide me this.
And she likes doing Quint's TikToks.
That is a lie.
You both have been very, very generous with your time and showing me so much and sharing so much with me. I really do appreciate it. I have one final question for you. What's next for Quint? And I'm sure there's like lots of things, but is there one big thing that is sort of occupying your brain right now in terms of like whether it's a project or something you want to get done in the next little bit? Because I like you said off the top, there's so much flexibility within your organization, so I feel like you're always moving forward. What's next?
I think for us, and we spoke a little bit about SWEEP, right, our social enterprise, so we are focusing on what we just soft launched, but really housing is a need in our community, and there's opportunity, in different levels of government for different incentives to build more housing. And so for Quint, we're looking at what does that look like, but in partnership with other organizations. We really do feel that that's the best way to respond to the needs of the community, is doing things with people, and kind of, collecting each of our strengths and assets and hopefully responding to the needs of the community. So that's what we're focusing on maybe a bigger level, is what does that look like for new kind of housing opportunities. Yeah.
Julia, anything else? Anything on your plate?
She probably has a vision of timesheets and like
Updating our policy manual.
just like
fun. Those things are important too.
I think I'm alongside with Kristen. I think we see the need, and I think we want to be responsive, and I think we're really being mindful about doing it in a way that is sustainable. Quint is about sustainability, and for our organization and for the community, and so I think
I have learned so much today from you both, and it's fun to hang out with you too. You're lots
Come back without the microphone next time, okay?
Okay. So what's the social enterprise? You've learned so much, right?
I have. It's a social enterprise is where it's not just about making money for perhaps a shareholder or something like that, but there's cultural significance behind it, and there's we want to grow maybe more like holistic skills and things like that. And your build up program is all about that. Did I pass?
You passed. Okay. We'll hang out some more. No, I'm just kidding.
I haven't been put on the spot like that in a long time. Thank you both so much. I had so much fun, and I really do, as someone who has admired your work from afar for many years, this was a real privilege to get to know you guys and the work that you do. So thank you.
No, thank you. I love this. I love being able to have a walk with you today. Yeah.
Yeah, it was really great. Yeah, appreciate it.
Well, let's find you back. We'll show you where your car is.
My thanks to Kristen Thoms and Julia McCormick for taking time out of their very busy schedule to share their stories on the podcast. Please visit quintsaskatoon.ca to learn more about the impact Quint is having in Saskatoon. You have been listening to Season 6, Episode 3 of YXC Underground. My name is Eric Anderson. I host, produce, and edit this local independent podcast. You can listen to YXC Underground wherever you find your favorite podcasts, including Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Good Pods, or the website yxcunderground.com. Please feel free to leave a 5-star review if you like what you hear. You can follow YXC Underground on social media. Simply search YXC Underground on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram. And you can also now find YXC Underground on YouTube, which is very exciting and very long overdue. Right now, there's just one thing on the YXC Underground YouTube channel, and that's a video Molly Shakowski and I created with the help of many YXC Underground guests that celebrates 6 seasons of the podcast and this wonderful city we call home. I'm so proud of how it turned out. A huge thanks to Molly for her work in creating it, and to all of the guests who took time out to help us out. So yes, you can find that video on YouTube. Like and subscribe to YXE Underground on YouTube, and I promise to get more episodes up on the YouTube channel soon. My thanks to my cousin Andrew Dixon for creating the original theme music for the podcast, and to Saskatoon's Danger Dynamite for creating and maintaining the website. Before I go, I would like to acknowledge that these interviews were gathered on Treaty 6 territory and the traditional homeland of the Métis. YXE Underground is a production of the Salthammer Production Company. My name is Eric Anderson, and thank you so much for listening, and we'll talk to you soon, Saskatoon.